we know what excites us. We know what we love. We know what we're passionate about. I'm Brian Pearson. I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter, I'm a writer. I produce and host a podcast called The Mystic Cave. I used to be for almost 40 years a minister, like a church minister, specifically a priest with the Anglican Church of Canada. Retired from that a number of years ago, and interestingly enough, I've never gone back, so I think I've left the church. Instead, what I find is I'm thrilled every day to be exploring what I might call the spiritual terrain on the other side or on the far side of conventional religion. All the stuff I couldn't really explore while I was peddling one religion. Loved my work, loved the job, but more and more felt that the church could not, and maybe this is true of all religions, could not contain the kind of truth that it was conveying. So I'm in my retirement now and loving every minute of it because I keep going through whatever doors open, and they keep opening. But the older I got, the more I realized our jobs, however happy we may be in them, are never our true vocation. That I think my real life's work really had to do with discovering who I was created to be, discovering that and living it out, whatever that meant in terms of other people's hopes and expectations for me. And when we retire from whatever our work has been, we can never retire from being who we are, finding out who we are, and living that out in the world. Of course, we all have challenges that life presents to us along the way. So I've had 2 broken marriages. As a child, moved across the country many times. By the time I was 18, I'd lived in 11 different houses. So a lot of challenges life just presents to us. But I tend to think the real challenges are those inner challenges, the things that block us from becoming who we are and who we're meant to be. So for me, one of the biggest challenges has been resolving the tension within me of what I call the lion and the lamb. I grew up in a nice suburban family where we were conflict averse. I was the middle of 3 children. So that means I learned how to always be the mediator, the one making things right, the one who was pleasing the parents and other adults, and that's the lamb. That's the one who just wanted to play it all gentle and not too ferocious. However, it would seem that part of who I am is also a lion. I've always known exactly what I want. And because the lamb was so cultivated within my family, the challenge was, how do I own the lion? Because I got sneaky about it. I'd be the good kid at home. And then on the weekends, I'd go out and be the wild child with all my friends, so that the lion ended up having to be snuck in. And I think one of the main challenges for me was learning how to let the lion out, because as long as he was locked away and kind of kept secret and hidden, it would come out sideways as sarcasm or nastiness, which then totally undermined everything else I wanted to do and to be. It wasn't until I sort of discovered the lion and said, there are times when the world needs you to fight for something. There's times you need to be ferocious. There's times you need to be scary. It's like finding the warrior within each of us. And when that happened, I don't think I became the popular priest with my bishops after that. So for me, one of the greatest challenges was discovering who I was, accepting it, and celebrating it. It's so important that we discover, which we can only do over time, who we really are. Because when we're young, we have a lot of other people's expectations telling us who they want us to be. And we want to fulfill that. Some talk about the first half of life is all about fulfilling other people's hopes and expectations for us. And we do that because we want to be able to have a life partner, we want to get a job, we want to have a nice home, all the things that we might want to do. But hidden within us, at the level of what I would call soul, is someone, the real us, who's trying to get out. And actually, if we do nothing at all, by midlife, the reason people have midlife crises is that when we reach midlife, that inner person is starting to get antsy and wants to come out and will start to break out, and people will end marriages, they'll walk away from jobs, and sometimes they'll get hooked in addictions, they'll do anything to sort of deal with this inner person who's trying to mess up their lives. Well, that inner person isn't trying to mess up our lives. That inner person is waiting to be born. And I think to listen to when we feel restless, when we feel that there is a hidden part of me that nobody knows, that's the invitation for us to live large, to say, okay, there's a part of me that none of you know because I don't know this person yet, and to begin to let them out. It's the most exciting thing about growing older. So before I was ordained in the Anglican Church, I thought I was going to be a professional musician and songwriter. And I left school for a while, I made a demo tape, I took it around to all the record companies, I was doing all that. But I was also meeting a lot of very broken musicians who were playing the Holiday Inn circuit, doing covers of everyone else's songs but their own. And I saw it was a hard, hard life, and it frightened me. So I went back to school, eventually finished school and became ordained, and I thought, well, my music can always be a hobby. We also need to listen to what's coming out from the inside, because our soul knows what we need. But I think paying attention is enough. If we pay attention to our souls will tell us what we need to do next, what's just our next step. And in my view, in my experience, life works like that. It only ever gives us the next step. And if we need to have a definition for faith, it doesn't even have to be connected with religious belief. Faith is our willingness just to take that next step that our soul invites us to. And this connects, in my mind, with a word that sort of sums it up, which is curiosity. What are you curious about? Because that comes from somewhere. If I'm curious about something, I'll take a step in its direction. When I was feeling again all the old feelings around music and how much I wanted to do music, I didn't know how to get started. I took the next step, which was I began playing music with my friend Mike. That's all I needed to do. Doors continued to open one at a time. So I think there's something about just paying attention. What are you curious about? And what's presenting itself to you next? And that's the only step you need, is the next one. Something else about getting older is an opportunity to face our fears. And a lifetime gives us lots of things to fear and to tell us we can't do things. Well, yeah, there's certain things we can't do anymore. But also it's an opportunity to face each one of those fears and say, wait a minute, why are you a fear? I can solve this. Last fall I went on an ambitious program that took place camping in the fields or in forests of Kentucky. I had all these fears, all these reasons I shouldn't do that. I'm getting too old, my back's going to go out on me, and I'm going to be obviously not fit enough to be able to do this camping thing with, I imagined, a bunch of young, buff adults who would be with me. I had all these reasons why not to do it. And I decided I want to do this. So I addressed each fear one at a time until by the time I got in my car to drive down to that program, I was fearless, literally. I had a marvelous time. The program was everything I'd hoped it would be. And if I'd listened to any one of those fears, any one of those voices, I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have signed up. So I think it's a stage in life when we get to this point where we don't have to be held captive by our fears. And in fact, you face any of them down, most of them shrivel away. Follow what you love. I think it's a brilliant way of stating what now becomes the obvious. You know what you're called to do in your life. So it has to do with more with who you are than what you do. But we know already in our hearts what we're called to do. Follow our bliss just means do it. When you do what you love to do, you're happier, you're a better person, and the world is a better place. So I find, for me, that's the wisdom that I now hold before myself, looking back over my life, thinking, every time I have followed my bliss, it sometimes led me to challenges and difficulties and made tensions appear in my life where tensions didn't belong before. But actually, every time I obeyed and followed my bliss, it led me deeper and deeper into who I think I am called to be. And I think the world has been made a better place with each one of those steps.